Now, you may ask, what is racism? Racism is the belief that characteristics and abilities can be attributed towards a person simply on the bias of their race, and some racial groups are superior to others. Racism and discrimination has been used as powerful weapons encouraging fear or hatred of others in times of conflict and war, and even during economic downturns. So I was speaking on racism. Now you may ask, what is racism? Racism is the belief that characteristics and abilities can be attributed towards a person simply on the bias of their race, and some racial groups are superior to others. Racism and discrimination has been used as powerful weapons encouraging fear or hatred of others in times of conflict and war, and even during economic downturn. So, we should all know by now that racism is not a new topic that came about yesterday or a couple days ago. It's been around for centuries. So, you might ask, why is racism still a problem? So, racism is still a problem because of lack of respect. If you do not have respect for something or someone, you basically don't care about their feelings or anything about their well-being. And racism causes harm to those on the receiving end. It hurts individuals, communities, and our society at large. And studies have shown that individuals experiencing racism has profound effects towards their health and welfare. The effects can include feeling of sadness and anger, even anxiety and depression. The regular experience of racism can lead to people withdrawing from work or their studies, and it diminishes their quality of life. It also hurts people's freedom and their dignity. Those who endure racism can be made to feel like they have less freedom or like a second class citizen. In a diverse country such as Australia, the effects of racism are confined to individuals. Aren't confined to individuals. It has a potential to affect us all, and racial hostility creates a society where people cannot trust and respect each other, and it challenges our society values and equality and fairness. So the reason I choose to do racism is because it can get ugly. Think of all the incidents of racial abuse on public transportation that frequently attract the media's attention. It is an unpleasant experience to witness racist confrontation, and it is even worse when you're on the receiving end of it. Those who have experienced racist attacks often says it makes them feel like a lesser being, and all of us have our part to play in their everyday lives. Racism happens in places such as our neighborhoods, grocery stores, our schools, and even our workplaces. Thinking about racism is an everyday situation which means we can focus on some practical actions. This helps us get past one obstacle to countering prejudice and discrimination. Often, people have been ideal bystanders to racism, not because they accept or endorse it, but because they're unsure of what to do. And it is important that we're not just bystanders to racism or discrimination, and that we're prepared whenever possible to speak out or stand up. We must also support the ones on the receiving end. There are 666 inmates in prisons per 100,000 people. And out of 100,000 people, 450 are white, 821 are Hispanic, and 2,306 are black. Black inmates represent 40% of the population of prison, 14% are Hispanic, and 38% on average are Native Americans. And black men tends to receive a sentence on the average of 20% greater than a white person for the same crime. And Native women are 6 times likely to receive a higher sentence for a crime for the same crime as white women. And Native men are incarcerated 4 times greater than white men for the exact same crime. It is also stated that black students of any age are 3 times more likely than a white student to be suspended. 18%. Being able to live without being defined by your skin color is the hallmark of privilege. Some people with good intentions think that if we stop talking about racism, it might just magically disappear. But avoidance has never been a great tactic in solving any problem. Most situations in life, when not addressing what's going on, only makes matter worse. It's like someone breaks your arm, and the person who slammed the baseball bat into it is saying the only reason it won't heal is because you keep complaining it hurts. Society does not want to put the effort into providing this cast. This is why we must talk about race, and we must do it openly. As many rage about the system that privileges white people over people of color, a system that has been allowed and encouraged, we get pushback saying that not all white people are racist, but no one said that all white people are racist. But racism is real and bigots are plenty, and no one, is not just making it up to make white people feel bad or look bad. It's just saying that white people benefit from an automatic position of privilege because of their skin color in a larger racist society. Also, when we think about the meaning behind I have a black friend or I have black friends, they simply refuse to see their part played in the system because they're too busy trying to make people see how not racist they are. Listening to black music and loving Beyonce doesn't give you a free hall pass to say the N-word and to get out of systematic racism. Just because I enjoy a salad from time to time doesn't mean I'm a vegan. Being able to live without having being defined by your skin color is the hallmark of privilege, and this is why. So you might be wondering, why should I care about racism? So we should care about racism because it is one of those issues that no matter how many discussions we have about it, it will forever be around. So we need to realize and acknowledge that some parts of our identity may or may not put us in a position better than others. It means that something about you may or may not assist your progress in the race of life. This can mean that whatever majority group you belong to most likely contributed to the oppression of another. This is why everyone needs to understand when it comes to racism, there is no one but ourselves to be blamed because we are the ones who we are the ones who causes the problem, and also we're the ones who take offense to what others have to say or others' opinion. And I feel that racism isn't born, it's taught. So that means it is spring from ignorance, and so the change is in our hands.
I'm feeling very emotional because that was too real. Just seeing a movie that didn't really take it as a joke, and they actually put out how it actually is in real life.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like anything was exaggerated that much.
Out of the car.
It affected me so much because, this is kind of heavy, but I've dealt with this.
Yeah.
My family, we've lost people to gun violence, and it's a heavy topic, obviously. And no one should have to go through losing their son, their fathers, their grandfathers, their brothers, even their sisters. No one should have to see their last moments pointed, having to see a gun pointed at their faces their last moments.
Seeing their father pushed up against the glass, it makes you think that could be your father one day because of the color of his skin. Sorry. Oof. That could be your little brother or... Oof.
It's real. This is real for you.
Oh, okay, just give me a second.
So you worry about this happening to your family?
Not
Maybe
even just
it has.
my family, my whole family, other people's family. Racism and gun violence and black on black crime is a big part of society today. And I think that it's good that there's a lot of more young kids being a part of society and speaking their mind, and black people coming together to voice what's wrong with our community.
We live in a complicated world.
It doesn't seem that complicated to me.
How did you feel when Star screamed, "I have the right to photograph you"?
You know that was the best part of the movie.
I felt that. Like,
I felt that.
They explained our rights because they thought, I guess they thought they would know, like, oh, you have the rights. So when she said that and they realized, know your rights, know your worth, when that part was in the movie, she knew her rights and she put it out there. And when she did that, that's when they knew, like, they can't really do anything because we have rights too.
How many of you have had that talk? I'm a Jewish kid from Thornhill. I didn't get that talk. But how many of you have had a version of that talk?
Yeah. And honestly, I find it sad though because we had to be taught to like the way act a certain way when police is around, and like that's because the color of our skin, because our color is a weapon, and you don't see that happening with other people because they don't need to worry depending on the color of their skin.
Violence, brutality. It's the same story, just a different name.
I'm so proud in our generation that they finally put out movies and show that, this is actually going on. It's not a fairy tale. This is stuff that goes on in everybody's life in different ways.
Angie, the author of this, right? She looks like you. She lived this life. She wrote the book. Maybe this gets back to her. What would you tell her after you've seen this?
Thank you for being real. Thank you for showing us the other side of the story, not what the news just wants us to hear. Thank you for showing us that there's a reason behind why people drug deal or why they were out that night. Thank you for showing us that the black man isn't always the criminal.